Well, the parts are still not here for the Honda CB200, and honestly, I'm getting a little bit upset. Anyways, in order to get this bike running, we need to ensure that these aftermarket carbs are going to do the job. Now, when I installed them, I was having some issues with them, so I want to make sure that they're running properly and they're gonna make the bike run properly, because the last thing I want is to sell this bike to somebody that's gonna have problems with this bike. I don't want that. So join me and let's see if we can get this bike up and running the right way. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to remove this seat. And the reason that I wanted to do this is so that way we can have more access to the carburetors. Now, I am going to run the auxiliary gas tank while we're trying to get this bike up and running, because as you recall, the petcock on this bike was leaking. So therefore, we couldn't really use it and we couldn't use the tank, unfortunately. So I ordered the petcock repair kit, and I really should have just ordered a whole brand new petcock, but I was trying to keep the original one and I decided to just order the seals. And what ended up happening was that I ordered something from overseas, which is taking a whole lot of time to get here, but that's okay. I might just have to order the whole petcock, but we'll see when the time comes. It should arrive here in the next couple of days, but if it doesn't, then I'm gonna go to plan B, which is pretty much ordering a whole new petcock. All right, so I have the seat out of the way. If you recall, this gas tank wasn't fully installed because we figured that we might have this issue, so we just kind of installed it for now, just like that. I'm gonna put that aside. And now we have access to our carbs. Now, I still don't have the battery. I actually ordered that last minute. I had forgotten to order the battery for this bike, unfortunately. So I went ahead and ordered that. It should arrive here soon. So I'm gonna connect it to my boat again. But I am going to have more room to work with here. The idea behind what we're gonna do today is we're gonna try to adjust our cable here. Now, our cable going to the throttle is what was wrong last time. It wasn't letting the slides fall all the way down the way they were supposed to. So we're having a few issues there. But aside from that, I think we can kind of work on that. Now, we're still waiting on the gaskets for the clutch as well. So that means that we won't be able to work on the clutch yet. So, you know, the bike might not go into gear yet. So, but that's okay. All we're concerned about is the carburetors and making sure that they are tuned properly. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to do this. Now, I did install a Y here. Since these are two carburetors, I'm going to bring them to a Y connector, and then I'm going to install it to my auxiliary fuel tank so that I can run both carbs from one tank. All right, so here I have my auxiliary fuel tank. Now, in another video, I showed you how to make one of these. It's a very simple process. And yeah, if you want to watch that video, go ahead and watch it on my channel. I'm gonna install a zip tie so I can hang this from my handlebars, just like that. And I'm gonna connect the auxiliary fuel right here. I don't think I'll need clamps for it, but who knows? I think we should be okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add fuel to my auxiliary fuel tank here, and that way we can get some fuel to the carbs and then see if we can get the bike back up and running. In order to work on these carbs, we're gonna need a few tools, but to tune the carbs, we're only gonna need really one tool, and that is a flathead screwdriver. Now, we do have some screwdrivers here, which I'm gonna show you what I personally have in my toolbox, but screwdrivers are one of those things that, you know, if I can get my hands on some really cool ones, I will, because they're, you know, they're kind of, I don't know. When you come across a cool screwdriver, it's just cool to keep. Now, they don't last forever. I mean, you have to use them. You can't just preserve them unless you're collecting them. But when you come across a cool tool, it's worth talking about it. So this is my Craftsman 1/8 inch SL screwdriver. And this is model number CMHT65019. Now this screwdriver right here is what we're gonna use to tune our carbs. But I mean, just look at that. Look at how cool that is. That is a really cool screwdriver. Now these screwdrivers almost remind me of like the 70s. I don't know, I just they're nostalgic in a way, because growing up, I would always see these in my, dad's or uncle's, kind of collection of screwdrivers, or in their toolboxes. And I mean, they would just last forever. You can bang on these, and I mean, they would just last a long time. So yeah, I wanted to show you, this is what we're gonna use to tune our carbs. And the cool thing about this is that you can get in really tight spaces and kind of tune the carbs from, further away, so you don't have to get it really in there when you're tuning carbs. But I mean, these screwdrivers are really nice, and they're fairly inexpensive. I don't know, I know maybe I'm just geeking out over this, but I really like these blue, red, and clear screwdrivers from Craftsman. I really think it's cool that they brought back these. Now let me show you some of the ones that I have, which they're still Craftsman, but they're not as cool as these. All right, so in my toolbox, I keep some screwdrivers, or a section for screwdrivers, and this is the one that I know where my screwdrivers are, because I put a little sticker here that says Vessel, which are my JIS screwdrivers. Now, the first ones that you see here are my JIS screwdrivers, which come in a little case here, or a little holder, I guess you can say, for them. And these are the ones that I use mostly, pretty much all the time, when I'm working on Japanese motorcycles, because obviously you need these to be able to work on them. Now, do I always use them? No. When there's no GIS screws that I need to work on or use them for, then I don't touch them. I try not to touch them, because obviously you don't want to strip them using them on other type of screws. So those are the first ones that I come across. But the reason why I like this one that I just bought, and again, this one was like $10, I believe, $8 or $10, which is a super deal for this. The reason that I love this is because I was noticing in my toolbox, now a lot of these are old, screwdrivers that have, seen better days. But for example, this one is a Craftsman screwdriver as well. Now this one has been in my toolbox for a long time, and it's probably a hand-me-down from either my dad or my uncle, or whoever had this at one point. And it's, again, it's seen better days. There's some gunk at the end of it. I don't know what that is, but I've had this screwdriver for a long time. And I also have this one, but this one is actually a Husky brand, but it looks almost identical. But I mean, look at this thing. It's seen better days. For a while, Craftsman also had these like black version of the clear ones, which I thought they were kind of cool. I still have some of those around. These I kind of use just to like pry stuff with. They're kind of hefty, and they're pretty good. But yeah, Craftsman does sell also like these type of screwdrivers. These are more like a pick, or like to remove like different things like hoses and stuff like that. But this handle, I mean, this more modern handle, I mean, they're good. They feel good on your hand. But I mean, really, this right here is just, I mean, how cool is that? This is the equivalent of driving like that 70s Trans Am with like, the screaming bird on the hood, and all that stuff. Like this is what it's all about right here. This is nostalgic to me. So but as you can see, I have some other screwdrivers here. I have some like these that are kind of like meant for a specific size of bolt. These are some that fell out of a truck, out of a electrical utilities truck fell on the road. We picked them up, and we weren't able to find the driver after we did. So yeah, and I also have my impact one here. I have some old school screwdrivers from Craftsman. I believe these are Craftsman, but they have like a rubber handle on them. I don't have that many tools, but I do have just, you know, the essentials that I kind of come across. And again, these are fairly inexpensive. Here's another Craftsman one. I've had this one for a long time, and honestly, the quality on these screwdrivers, I mean, they really are, you know, really great. I also like to keep the small ones. Like this one is from the hand build show. I had a black one from the hand build show that looked like this one. But this one is just like a promo item that I turned into like a pick. But this one right here is the hand build motorcycle one. The previous version to this, from, you know, shows before, they actually didn't have a removable, you know, or head like this, I guess you can say. It was kind of just a flathead screwdriver, and that one was better for carbs. Unfortunately, the next year when they brought these back, they made them into these like double-ended ones that you can kind of slide in, and they're good and all, but for small projects, but they obviously kind of slide out. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a quick run through of all the screwdrivers that I have. Obviously, the one that we're gonna use to tune our carbs is this one. I love this one, and I can't wait to just add it to my collection. It's not really a collection, this is actually tools that I use, but yeah, let's put it in the box. Oh wait, we're actually going to need that. All right, so here I have my DIY auxiliary fuel tank here hanging on the handles, and I'm simply going to add a bit of non-ethanol fuel. Had a little bit of gas in there. I'm just gonna add enough just to get the bike running for a little bit so we can see if the carbs are going to work properly or not. Just gonna close the lid here. This auxiliary fuel cell is, or fuel tank, I guess you wanna call it, is something that I made. I have a video for making one of these. It's pretty simple. The only thing I would suggest is if you're going to use this tire valve here, just use a fuel rated O-ring. That way it doesn't leak from here. Okay, so I have my auxiliary gas tank there connected. I'm going to go ahead and connect my battery here. I'm simply going to, there we go. Got those connected there. Our key was actually on, so we'll go ahead and leave that like that. Yep, okay, we got ignition there. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to try to turn it on and try to adjust it. Now I am gonna try to make sure that it, you know, we can tune it. So I'm gonna grab my screwdriver. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my fuel. Hopefully we don't have a stuck float or anything like that. That was not me. Oh, here we go. See, we have a stuck float on this one. Or actually, no, we have a leak at the top. I think I I think I might have pinched my, my gasket when I was putting back the float bowls last time, but that's fine. I already went ahead and opened it up enough so that we can fill our bowls. And I think we should be okay. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this screwdriver to turn my idle screws 1.5 turns. So what that means is I'm going to put my idle screws or the air mixture screws all the way in, and I'm gonna turn them. Once they bottom out, you don't wanna tighten them up too much, but once they bottom out, then you just take them back out 1 whole turn and a half, which is right there. And I'm gonna do the same for the other carb. Now, notice how this screwdriver makes quick work of getting into tight spaces. This is perfect for this job. So here we go. Once we feel it bottom out, we just have to kind of make sure that we can see it. So we're gonna go back 1 full turn. And then a half a turn, just right there. Okay, perfect. We also have air mixture screws, or I guess you can call these screws here on the side. They're meant so that your slide for the carb can go either up or down. What we want to do here is we want to take them all the way out, and then we can make some adjustments and put them, you know, screw them back in. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the slides are we're not pushing the slides up more than we need to. Now, if we see that the bike is struggling to stay on, we can always kind of, you know, screw them in. Once you start screwing them in, you'll feel them kind of touching the slide. Now, we could remove the air boxes and look inside the slide to see when it starts going up with these air mixture screws, or I would call them idle screws. There we go. So basically what they do is they kind of just push the slide up to get a little bit more gas in. Now keep in mind the actual, you know, the actual slide, then there's a needle in the middle which kind of lets gas in from the main jet. Now the main jet tends to work from, you know, mid throttle to when you have full open throttle. That's when it kind of comes in. So the slide, as you're adjusting at idle, it's really all the way down, and the main jet is really not letting any gas in. So that's really what that adjustment is for. So I see that I have a small leak here. It's kind of stopping already, but that is from the gasket not sealing correctly, which I'll go ahead and address, but I think we can go ahead and try to get the bike started. So let me go ahead and place it in choke. Now this lever here, all it does is basically pushes the choke down, or it lifts it up. So in this case, if it goes up, then basically that lets the choke go down and close the port, or if you go all the way down, then that lifts it and it, you know, opens it up. Now I'm gonna try it with it open, and hopefully we don't need the choke, but if the bike is cold, as you can see, we might need that choke. So let's give it a try and see what happens. We're gonna put it in our run position, and here we go. We have our ignition on, everything's good. Yeah, let's give it a try. Okay, let's go ahead and put the chokes on, see what happens. Okay, nothing there. Okay, it's in the run position. Let's give it another shot. Okay. So okay, so I think we need to take the side covers off, unfortunately, which I didn't want to have to do. But I need to look inside and see what's happening with these carbs. And I also have a suspicion that not a lot of air is getting into our filter here, because these are old filter boxes. So if you recall, I added a little bit of grease just to make these easier to take off if we needed to. And as you can see, they came right off. So that's great. Now, ideally you want to tune your carbs with the air box attached to them, but in this case, we want to find out what's going on inside our carbs, because if there's a leak or something, maybe extra gas going into our carburetors, we want to be able to see that from the intake. We want to see what's going on there and see if we have any issues. But with the air cleaners on, we can't really see. Here we go. And we took that one off. You know, these carbs are actually inexpensive carbs that are, you know, pretty much replicas of the original carbs. And I mean, they're supposed to work pretty well, but I don't know. I don't know if I should trust them too much. Okay, so let's give it another try and see if maybe we can get a little bit more air in there. Here we go. Have a run position. Okay. That was in the choke position. Let's check to see if we have spark. Okay, we don't have any spark now. Let's see if we blew any fuses. That was good. Okay, so we don't have any spark. Now we need to figure out why. Okay, so we're getting no spark, which is kind of weird because before we did have spark. So I'm not too sure what is actually going on. But I think we're gonna have to do a little bit more investigating. Just gonna open up my point system here. Check to see if we see anything out of the ordinary. Well, this gasket for sure needs replacement. Wow. Well, that really shocked me there. But yeah, that's in the run position, so we should be getting spark here. All right, was that maybe just hung up there? Let's see. Yep, I think our point system was hung up in there. I think I might have squeezed the gasket in there. Okay. Okay, we're trying to get the bike to idle, so now we can start adjusting the slides a little bit more up so we can get a little bit more airflow. We also have to adjust our throttle cable. Go. So we're trying to adjust the slides up with the cable over here. Oh. That's sounding pretty good. Now what we want to make sure is we want to make sure that we have a nice idle like right now. Now I do see that we probably need to adjust the idle up on that side. That's definitely firing. That's firing too. Okay, that comes back to idle pretty good. I think our idle screw is perfectly set at 1.5 turns out. I think all we need to do is just adjust our air intake a little bit. But oh, okay. Oh, I think it might have ran out of gas there. Let me open this once again and let some gas go into the float, into the bowls. There we go. Now this gasket on this side starts leaking. That's when I know that we've let enough gas go in. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Let's try it again. There we go. Now it's idling a little bit high. Now I'm adjusting the position of the slides with this adjustment here on the handlebars. And that basically gets us to a good starting point, and then from there we can adjust on the carburetor. That sounds good to me. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up just so we can keep it in the right position. Okay. That actually sounds way better now. Idle right now is set at about 1500. I can always lower that, but that actually sounds really healthy. All right, perfect. Yes. Cool. So I think that actually sounded really good. So yeah, I think I had a small issue with the point system. I did take the cover off some other time just to check if I had an issue there underneath. I don't remember why I took that off, but I did take the points cover off for something. And I might have pinched something, or I might have messed with something where it kind of didn't want to give me spark initially, but I was able to get spark after that. But as you can see, the bike is running actually really strong. It sounds pretty good. You know, I'm just really waiting to get the petcock in, and I need to kind of just work on this gasket, which it's not the best gasket. Maybe I can figure out how to cut a felt one, maybe. This one uses a rubber one. I just probably need to put it in place better. I don't like, they're kind of flimsy, to be honest with you. I don't like that style, but that's what we have to work with. But other than that, the bike is actually running pretty good. I was able to get it to idle fairly well, and I'm honestly happy with that. So I thought this was actually gonna be a harder job to do, but as you can see, bike turns right up, turns right on, and it idles good. It's kind of surging a little bit there, but okay, that was a backfire. Okay, we definitely have something going on over there on that cylinder. There we go. We just need to run it, adjust it a little bit, and then go from there. Wow. That sounds really cool. Yeah, so I better turn it off before I choke to death in here, but yeah, I actually thought this was going to be a harder process, guys, to be honest. I was really skeptical about these carbs and how they were going to work. I wasn't sure if they were going to be that reliable, but as you can see, I do hear a little bit of a knocking noise on this side, so I think I need to adjust my, the valves on this side, the valve lash. It sounds like top end noise, but that shouldn't be too hard to do. I just wanted to actually, run the bike, see if it idled properly, and see if we can turn it on and off like I just did right now, and it seems to be working. Honestly, just fine. So I'm super happy with that. I'm super stoked about that. And yeah, join me next week. I'm definitely gonna make sure I get that petcock in. I'm actually gonna order the whole thing. Hopefully I can get that faster, even before I get the rebuild kit. So hopefully I'll get that in. That way I can put it on the bike, put the gas tank on the bike, put the air filters on. Next week I might actually have a solution for those air filters. I might have to rebuild those, so I'll show you how that's gonna go. But aside from that, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm gonna leave a few videos up here so y'all can watch those as well. And thank you all so much once again. We'll see you on the next video.